the one thing that I changed that got me into a much better shape as a firefighter. Now, I've always been into the gym. I've always been someone who trains. I think growing up as someone who was just a little bit shorter, it's the way of overcompensating. Everyone else is going up still, so I'll go outwards. Where I went to school had a pretty decent gym attached to it. It was like part of a sports centre. So having a good routine of going to the gym while at school was actually pretty easy. Like towards the end of secondary school, was going pretty consistently, sixth form, a little bit more freedom, just easier to come and go. And like training was never an issue. I enjoyed it. I have an older brother who was into training or still is into training. So naturally that pushed me down the right path. And it was easy because he did all my programming. He sort of showed me how to do everything. And from very early age then training was never an issue. And then I was playing sports like rugby. So weightlifting naturally comes hand in hand with rugby. It's quite a good thing as part of the culture. You lift heavy weights, you focus on doing good lifts, you see it on the TV and on like the socials or the players doing it. So again, lifting was always quite easy to motivate yourself to do. And it played well. It made me stronger, made me more confident, made me better on the rugby pitch, made me more confident at school. Like as I was leaving, I felt confident to do kind of anything. And I think that's a massively underrated thing. When you start lifting weights fairly early, you go through all the mums going, oh, wow, that stunt your growth, it'll stunt your growth. My growth was already stunted. I started lifting weights after, like I'd finished growing, I'm pretty sure. Been 5'7" since about, 15 years old. But then starting to do the weight training for the next few years as well, in those key times when you're kind of filling out, I genuinely think it served me really well. And then I went to uni and again, it helped me. I was confident. I was happy to go there. I was studying the things to do with exercise and training and sport. I loved it. And then when I finished uni and the time came around that I applied for the fire service, as everyone does, I'm, oh, right, they're recruiting. Yeah, go for it. The tests came through and the fitness test came up. It wasn't an issue. Like, not to sound like a dick, but I didn't have to train overly hard to already be at those fitness test standards. I was already overhead pressing more than what the fitness test required. I was already doing lat pull down. I was doing all the things that it required. And a treadmill walking test, which I had to do, was really not that challenging. Although I will say the Chester treadmill test, I think, is a little bit harsher on the shorter individual. Stride length is less, and I think, yeah, it's just naturally a lot harder, but that's neither here nor there. So by the time I actually got into the job and I was on station, I just couldn't believe it. I was in a job where I was being paid to train. I was getting paid to have gym time, like a pro athlete, but with a gym that's nowhere near as good a standard. And then with the adjustment to station life, getting used to the truck and everything on the lockers and the way things function and stuff like that, like still getting gym time in or still being motivated to go into the gym on station was not often an issue. Yes, I had to adjust to tiredness coming off of night shifts and busy days and stuff like that. But again, it was never the issue. And it was one of the things that I found relatively easy about staying fit was just getting my gym time in. Whether that meant coming in before a shift even started or using my rest days to catch up on sessions, like that was not the biggest thing for me. There was something that changed things to a much greater degree. It wasn't like a certain supplement I started taking. It wasn't starting to do functional CrossFit shit. And even though I went through a period of doing it, it wasn't the ice baths that I used to have on the station at 6 a.m. coming off of a night shift. The biggest thing I changed that gave me the best results that I'd had for years was actually focusing on what I was eating. And I know that's so anticlimactic, like, oh, he's talking about diet. This is why. Growing up with that rugby culture, growing up with like hitting the gym hard from a young age, food was always like, not a problem. Just eat more, just eat to build, get your protein in and then eat some more. Like that was never an issue. I was active enough that I stayed relatively lean, but I was just building. And for a long time, that was fine. I was bulky, I felt good, I felt strong, but I never really felt like I changed. From the age of about 18 to 26, I probably felt like I was the same for the whole period. Like if I look at pictures, I can't see really much change in like my progress or physique, which was fine. I felt good. And as bad as this sounds, I was still doing online coaching. I was still a PT, but I just didn't focus on the nutrition part so much. It was just about getting people lifted and getting them doing that. And as long as they were eating enough, I was happy until I started looking at my own diet. Now, there is a difference between eating healthy and eating enough. Like you can eat really healthy foods, but you can still overeat them. And that was kind of my philosophy, I guess. The quality of what I ate wasn't bad. Like on station, I had my breakfast down to a T. It'd be 2 bacon, 2 pieces of toast, 3 eggs and beans, and maybe hash brown at like weekends. So not a bad breakfast, Like, bacon's still not bad. Beans, good fiber. We can pick them all apart. It was not a bad breakfast, really. But the volume of it was a lot. There was a lot of calories in it. And I didn't kind of take that into consideration until I actually looked at it. At home, I'd eat a lot. I'd eat big dinners. Again, really good stuff, really home cooked, like freshly prepared meals, but they'd be big. And they'd be followed with a protein pudding chaser. And there'd be weekends eating a lot, training hard, doing a lot as well. But there was no restriction on food. And that was fine. But that's why I never seen any real results or change. If anything, whilst on station, I was beginning to get worse over time. Like gradually, over months, I'd get a little bit chubbier. Just see the abs a little bit less, to a point where I was just bulk with no definition. And that's when I decided to take more of an interest in exactly how much I was eating. It's so easy on station, isn't it? You can graze all day. You can graze on toast. You can pick up biscuits. You can pick on cakes. Overtimers are in, or someone's made a mistake, and there's always cakes about. Puddings on the night shift. Again, there's just so much opportunity for eating. And as someone who likes eating, it became very easy. So I started tracking calories for the first time properly. Like, I dabbled in it before. I'd had a couple of days where I'd just seen what I was eating. Oh, this is roughly how many calories I got. This is roughly what protein I'm getting. Might track that, might not. Veg, don't worry about it. Don't need to track that. Or fruit, don't worry about it. That's healthy. Don't need to track that. But for the first time, I actually tracked everything and done it properly. I set myself a calorie goal that was going to be in a deficit and was going to help me burn fat. And then for a couple of months, I religiously stuck to it. And in those few months, I seen more change in my physique than I'd seen for the past years leading up to it. I started paying attention not to just what the quality of the food that I was eating, but just the quantity of it as well. So looking at having the best types of food, but then not overeating them either. Nothing wrong with scrambled egg on sourdough toast with avocado and olive oil, and all healthy food, but they're very calorific. And just by tracking these calories, I understood that there was a difference between being healthy and eating too much still. I paid attention to just how much I was snacking on shift, the toast that I'd pick in the afternoon, the shake that I took with me that I thought, great, another protein hit. And it was, but it was full of milk and it was a full shake that was just adding extra hundreds of calories, which to be honest, I was already getting loads in the day anyway. And then things added up when I got home and I'd have a big dinner on top of all the stuff I'd eaten in the day. So I actually started looking at this closely and followed a bit of a plan and had a calorie target in the day. Things changed so quickly. I burnt away about 10 kilos of body fat that personally, when I started, I didn't think I had to lose. I thought I was in pretty good shape. I thought just doing a bit extra nutrition focus would help just shake things up a little bit, maybe a couple of kilos gone. 10 kilos later, and I was looking and feeling the best I had in years. Now, I didn't want to be skinny, but I found that as I started losing body fat, I began to look bigger and look more muscular, even though the trousers for my uniform were getting looser and looser and I had to order smaller pairs. Even though the shirts were beginning to get baggy, the arms weren't filling out so well. That was fine because as I went down a t-shirt size, then they did. But then they weren't all loose and they all fitted nicely. I've even started to see the vasculature in my arms, which I hadn't seen for years. Some forearm veins and some definition in your biceps is something that you really like to see in yourself in the mirror. Having some pecs that didn't jiggle every time I walked were actually pretty prominent but solid. Everything just felt much tidier and I felt so much fitter. And what was really surprising, and the bit most people never actually find out, is it's actually easier to keep that physique once you get there. The hard bit is getting to that physique, going through the time where you are very focused, careful on what you're eating, very fussy, saying no, going through that hard bit of getting the body fat down. But then when you get to a pretty good level, it's easy to keep it. When you hit that place where you're happy and you're like, great, that's the physique that I just want to keep now, the calories come back up. Your dieting calories are not the same as what it takes to maintain what you've built or what you've got down to. I went from eating 1,700 calories to get lean to eating 2,700 calories to stay there. And that was 2,700 calories every single day to stay in a really great shape. And you know what? That's plenty of calories for having an ice cream on shift, for having the odd McFlurry run, for having treats still. But you're just so much more controlled about the way you have them and you have much better understanding of what it takes to keep the balance. I was going out for socials after shift with everyone. I was having a takeaway when someone was retiring or there was a takeaway night on shift. But the difference was I wasn't having 3 ice creams on shift, as well as picking up the cakes, as well as picking up the biscuits and then getting a takeaway on the way home. I was in better shape for going through the period of lower calories and dieting. And then I had a much better understanding of how to stay that way. And that to this day still carries on. It really helped me as a coach to understand the actual benefit of having both sides of the equation really balanced. Not only being consistent in the gym and loving your training, but then actually being very controlled and understanding your food. The benefits I found from it, I was blown away by. Since then, I genuinely look and feel the best I ever have. And I'm in full control of when I decide to bring my calories up and focus on building muscle, or bring them back down and focus on burning fat. I can control my physique the way I want to, because I've done both sides of it now. I can control my physique at any point of the year. And it's why I'm so passionate about helping firefighters do the same thing. Because it is hard. It is harder to do with station life. It is harder to do while getting call outs at all hours. It is harder to find and keep these results, but it's not impossible. And I can make it so easy for you, because it is your job. And not only that, it then makes you enjoy the job more. I loved every second of being a firefighter, because I never felt out of my depth. I never felt there was a job that I couldn't do. And as potentially cocky as that sounds, I know. But I felt confident in my fitness. I felt confident in the way I looked. Whether that was giving talks to kids around the truck, feeling like I looked like a firefighter, or turning up to a job, being the first in BA, knowing like, shit, I'm going to be fine here. I know I can do this. So that's what I do now for others. And if you've currently found yourself in a place where this isn't how you feel, but you want to, and you know you've got more to give, and if you know getting into better shape will help you with your confidence in every area of your life, then all you need to do is message me now and I can make it happen for you. If you're still not convinced, go to Instagram, follow my free trial. I literally give you the basic walkthrough of exactly what to do. Or like the video, subscribe to the channel, and just see all the content that comes out, and you can apply it to your own journey. Catch you in the next one.